Howdy folks, we're going to take a look at Project Zero here, and I'll show you how I might go about solving this. I'm not going to put it in the classroom repository, I'm going to put it in that main course repository, but so that step we're skipping, but that's okay. You should be familiar with that part. So we're going to write our Java program that helps us buy the correct amount of supplies to build a horse fence with posts and boards going across, like my neighbor's fence, with 3 boards going across here. So we had lots of discussion, which was fantastic here. So hopefully you got the idea that posts or boards need to be nailed to posts. So if I have 6 feet of distance between these posts, I can't take 2 3-foot boards and nail them together. It doesn't work like that, right? It's a continuous board going from post to post. So sorry if that wasn't clear. Hopefully that just is common sense that, if you were to take 2 3-foot boards, you can't nail them like that. There's no way to really attach them. And then the horse would just break it anyway. So we need to ask them about their rectangular fence. We'll ask them for the length and the width. We'll ask how far apart they want the posts to be and make sure that you can put posts that distance between the length and width. So if I have a 10-foot wide fence and a 15-foot length fence, if I put posts every 2 feet, it'll fit the 10, but it won't fit the 15 that's invalid. But if I do 5-foot posts that fits the 10 and the 15, we're fantastic. So we'll calculate how many posts we need to buy. Then we'll ask them how long of a board they're going to buy. Hey, what's on sale at Home Depot? The 8-foot boards, the 10-foot boards, the 12-foot boards. Did you find a 100-foot board? It doesn't matter. The arithmetic's the same. We'll ask them how long it is. But if it's less than the post distance, they can't do it. Right? You need to at least be able to get across one post to another. So if you're posted every 5 feet, you need at least a 5-foot board. If you buy a 9-foot board and you're posted every 5 feet, well, you're going to have to throw away a lot of that board, right? You'll cut it down to a 5-foot section to nail between post to post. You have 4 feet of board. You can't do anything with that 4 feet of board because you can't nail it to 2 posts. So that is scrap a board there. So we'll calculate how many boards we need to run a single board across, then ask them how many they want to run across. Like this has 3 boards across, top, middle, bottom. Maybe they want to do 2, maybe they want to do 5. Anything they want to do, the arithmetic's the same here. We'll figure out how many they want, and then we'll ask them how much each post costs, each board costs, calculate the total number of posts required, the total number of boards required, and the total cost of each, and the grand total for the project. Whew, all right, so we can do it. So I've got a project already going here. So we'll start off with asking them for the length and the width. So these are probably whole numbers. If you did doubles, that's okay, but we could probably assume people will give us whole numbers here, and I think life is fine here. So we'll have a length, and we'll have an int for width. And if we're going to be using input from the user, I like scanner. I like to call it keyboard. So we'll say scanner keyboard equals a new scanner given system.in. And then we can use this here. IntelliJ says, oh, I don't know what this is. So we'll take the little helpful hint here. We'll import the class. Some of those helpful hints are not so helpful. So only this import line is the helpful one here. Okay, so an integer for length then will be a integer.parseInt, right? Because we need to convert to an integer so we can do some arithmetic of the keyboard.next line. Next line here. Okay, so we should tell them what they need to enter. So we'll say, okay, hey, please, or tell me, or what is the length of your horse fence? Okay, and then we'll get their input, turn it into an integer. Great, we'll do the same for width. What is the width of your horse fence? And grab the same side over here. Great, so now we have a length, we have a width. Now we can ask them how far apart do the posts want to be? So same idea here, probably an integer value as well. So how far apart do you want your posts, right? And then we'll get a post distance or something, post gap, I don't know, something like that, as an integer given the keyboard next line, right? I can do the conversion here. Now we need to check and see if it's valid. So to check and see if it's valid, it has to be evenly divisible. That means when you divide it, there's no remainder. Right? Turns out that's the modulus function. So we're talking about that in chat. Hopefully you saw that in Discord. So I can say, hey, if my length modulus the post distance does not equal 0, that means there's a remainder when I do this division. It's no good. So if the length is no good, or if my width modulus the post distance does not equal 0, it's no good here. And we'll spit out, we can say, invalid post distance. Please try again. Now, we could put everything else in an else if you wanted. That would probably be better, but then like everything's going to be starting tabbed and tabbed and tabbed and tabbed and tabbed in. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. We could just make this quit if we wanted to, or the easy thing right now is we just let it keep running. We tell them to try again. They're going to get some bad numbers, and we're not responsible anymore. So that's the easy way out here. So we're just sort of cheating, saying I don't really care. That's fine. Okay. Then we ask how long of a board they want to buy, right? So how long do you want to buy, or how long is your board here? How about this one here? So we'll say how long of a board you're going to buy, right? And that'll be my board length then of, again, probably an integer. If you did doubles, that's probably better, but I'm going to be lazy and do some integers here because you probably don't buy 8.5 foot boards or 3 meter, 2.5 meter boards or whatever here. So I'm probably okay. So now we can check in again and see. So if the board length is less than the post distance, we have a problem again, right? We can say your boards aren't long enough. The boards aren't long enough. Right, please try again. And again, we could quit or do something with it. We're just going to be lazy, and we give them an error message and assume they're going to stop. Okay, so your board needs to cover at least one post. Okay, so now we need to figure out here, right, how many posts we're going to need. Oh, sorry, we could do this first or after. I guess the order here doesn't matter too much here. Calculate the number of boards needed based on how many posts we have. Right, so we need to see how many posts I need here. So to figure that out, I need to know what the perimeter is. So I'll have an int for perimeter. Perimeter, I think, is going to be my length times 2 plus the width times 2. That's my perimeter. Right? That's the total perimeter. Both sides, both top and bottom here, is the perimeter. And then if I divide that by my post distance, it'll tell me how many posts I need. Right? So if I have a 10 by 10 fence and I have posts every 5 feet, 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, right? The 4 sides is 40. Divided by 5 is 8. I need 8 posts, right? Which makes a lot of sense. You'll have 2 and 2 and 2 and 2, right? It's really 3 posts on each side, but you don't double count, right? So like if you had a post here, and a post in the middle, and a post here, that's like 3 posts there. And then if we had a post here, a post here, and then a post here, a post here, and a post here, right? It's really 3 on each side, but we're not double counting. So it's like 2 on this side, 2 on this side, 2 on this side, and 2 on that side, essentially. So, or just perimeter divided by that. So the int for the number of posts here, number of posts needed, is going to be my perimeter divided by my post distance. Okay. Now I need to figure out how many posts can each board go across. Right. So if I have posts every 5 feet and I buy an 8-foot board, I can only get across 1 post, and then 3 foot of that board is scrap. If I buy a 10-foot board, I can get across 2 posts, and there is no scrap. If I buy a 12-foot board, I can get across 2 posts, and there's 2 feet of scrap here. So I want the whole number of posts that I can go across. So I can have, this is posts per board, then it's going to be my board length divided by the post distance. And remember, in Java, if you are dividing an integer by an integer, you get an integer result, which means there's no decimal remainder. So any remainder there, any scrap extra board is just thrown away, right? So I'll know how many posts per board. So to figure out how many boards I need, then I can divide the number of posts. I'm sorry, the number of posts that I need divided by the post per board. So if I can cover 2 posts per board and I need 8 posts, then I need 4 boards. Right? And hopefully that all makes sense, right? If we have 10 feet boards, we can cover 2 posts with my 10 by 10 with 5-foot posts here. So a 10-foot board for here, a 10-foot board for there, a 10-foot board for there, and a 10-foot board for here. Right? And it all fits because we go across the sides. Okay, if you wanted different lengths, like if you wanted 15-foot boards, right? We can cover 3 of them. We can cover another 3, but then you can't buy 2/3 of a board. We're assuming you can't buy 2/3 of a board. I guess technically you can cut boards at Home Depot, but that's more work and you're still going to pay for that board, right? You don't pay less for a 2x4 just because you cut 2 feet off of it. They're not going to charge you any less. You still pay the full price. So you'll still have to buy the 3 boards essentially. So in that case, we need to round up, right? So we're going to calculate then. So our this will be what did we want here? So we could say, hey, my int for number of boards needed is going to be my number of posts needed divided by my posts per board. And again, that's an integer divided by an integer. So we could check and see, hey, if there's a remainder. So we can say, hey, if my number of posts needed modulus the post per board does not equal 0, if there's a remainder, let's take this number of boards and we'll add 1 to it. You can do plus plus if you want the shortcut, or plus equals 1, or any way you like doing those, right? You got all sorts of fun shortcuts here. So we know how many boards we need. Because if I'm buying 15-foot boards, right, I still need 3 of them. So 40 divided by 15 is going to be 2 and something, right? But we only get the integer value, so we'll get 2. We'll find out there's a remainder. We'll add up to 3. Okay. Then we need to find out how many boards we want to go across each one, right? Actually, so this, that's interesting, because if we are doing 3 boards, we'll have enough extra with our 15-foot board. We don't need to buy that many more. Well, that's fun. Okay, so we should probably get the, I was just going to multiply by the number of boards, but I guess that's wrong. Because we're going to need, I guess we'd have to cover the 3 times as many posts here. So we should probably ask them here then, right? So if we say, calculate the number of boards to build a single one across, ask how many boards they want across each one, and then figure out the costs here. So we'll ask them then. So let's see, my post per board, sure. That's all the same here. So we'll ask how many boards they want to run across. So number of boards going across, right? We should ask them how many boards they want to go across. How many boards do you want across each post? And then we'll do the integer to parse into that. Okay, so now we'll get the number of boards going across. So the number of boards that we need then will be the number of posts times my number of boards going across divided by the post per board. There we go. And this ought to work out nice. So if I need 8 posts, but I have to go across 3 times, I need enough boards to go essentially across 24 posts. And then I can divide by my posts per board, which would be 3, right, if I'm buying a 15-foot board, and then figure out I should get 8 boards here in this scenario. Right, 24 divided by 3 should be 8. And there should be no remainder, right? My number of posts times the number of boards going across modulus. Now, it's probably a good idea to put parentheses in here. We know order of operations will take care of this, but it's okay. Forcing it here or just being explicit about it is nice. It's not required, but it's nice here. Okay. Now we'll know how many boards we need. Now we need to ask them for the cost of each board. So that's probably a double, right? So we'll say how much does a board cost, how much does a post cost. Those are probably doubles just because you might have some pennies here. So how much does a post cost and how much does a board cost? So this would be a double for post cost, double dot parse double of the keyboard dot next line, right? And then we'll just copy paste this one for our board cost. How much does a board cost? So I don't know if you've seen these shortcuts. If you double click on a word, it'll highlight the entire word. If you triple click, it'll highlight the entire line. So those are some fun shortcuts here. Board cost. Right? And then we can calculate the grand total. Grand total is my post cost plus my board cost. Oh, sorry, post, that wasn't right. No, post cost. I guess we need to do each one, right? So this would be the cost then times the number of posts. Where do we have that? Our number of posts needed, right? Times the number of posts needed. And then this one times the number of boards needed. There we go. Right, so how many posts we're going to need, how many boards we're going to need, we'll get the post cost and board cost, and then we can have a double for grand total is my post cost plus the board cost, and then we can spit it all out when we're done. So we can say, right, because we needed to say, I'll put the total number of posts required, the total number of boards required. All right, so you need to buy so many posts and so many boards. You need to buy, and then we'll just append in here for right now. So this will be posts, number of posts needed, append in posts, and then we'll do for boards, you need to buy number of boards needed, boards, and we want cost of each, sure. So cost of each one, it will cost, and then we have our post cost, probably with a $sign, right? 4 posts, and then we'll do the same for boards here. Cost, this is my board cost for boards, and then altogether or something like that. Altogether, the fence will cost, and then this is our grand total. Okay, awesome. Let's give it a try. Right, let's give it a little build, or give it a run. There we go, and see if it works on the first try. It doesn't often work on the first try, but that's okay. You know, if we have errors, we'll figure it out here. So we said we wanted to do a 10 by 10 fence with posts every 5 feet, and let's buy a 15-foot board here. We want 3 boards going across. So let's do one for each of these, $1 and $1 to see how well that works. So 8 posts, 8 boards. I think that's checking out. $8 and $8, $16 total. It's checking out pretty well. So now we also want to make sure that we get these messages if it doesn't work. So if I want a 10 by 15 fence and I want posts every 3 feet, it's invalid, no good, right? Doesn't work. Okay, let's try it again with different board lengths here. So let's do, say, a 10 by a 15 with 5-foot posts, should be fine. Now length of board, if it's less than 5, like 4, it's invalid, no good here. Okay, good, we'll stop it. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Let's try some of those other crazy numbers here. So let's do, say, a 10 by 10 fence with posts every 10 feet, and I want to buy a 19-foot board. Well, I can only fit 1 post distance for each board, so I should still need 4 boards here. Let's just do 1 across at $1 each. So 4 boards, 4 posts, $4, 8 total. Looking good so far. Right, that's that sort of idea. So if we have scrap, it's just going to be scrap. We can't, I guess if you'd had enough scrap, you could attach them somehow, but it doesn't really work as well, and it's not going to be a nice, pretty fence. So we want to have a nice, pretty fence, board attached to the fence, to each post here. We don't want to do any sort of overlapping and any other sort of nonsense that might make the fence susceptible to the horses getting out, because horses cost a whole lot more than fences do. We don't want to lose them. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll commit this code to GitHub, and hopefully it went well for you. I'm looking forward to checking out how it went for you, and let me know if you have any questions or concerns. You folks take care.